All right, let's get right into it. Today, we're talking about a huge piece of America's housing market that honestly most of us don't think about much. For millions of people, it's their one shot at owning a home. But that shot, it's now facing a really, really serious threat. And this quote, wow, it really hits home. It's from Cassie Powell, a poverty law attorney who is seeing this happen on the ground day in and day out. What she's describing isn't just some abstract economic trend. We're talking about real people, real communities, just watching their homes get sold out from under them. And that's really the heart of the matter. For so many folks, these manufactured home communities are the only realistic path to owning their own place. But that path is disappearing. It's like the rug is being pulled out from under them, literally, as the land itself gets sold off to the highest bidder. Okay, so to really understand why this is happening, we've got to bust a major myth. It's a myth that's hiding in plain sight, right there in the name, mobile home. But the reality, well, it's anything but mobile. It's the first thing you think of, right? Hey, if the new landlord jacks up the rent, why not just move the house? Seems so simple, but the answer to that question, that is the key that unlocks this entire story. Get this, 90%. That's the number of these homes that are put down once and never move again. So that term, mobile home, is, well, it's basically a relic of the past. For all practical purposes, these things are permanent fixtures. And it's not like people don't want to move. There are just these huge, huge roadblocks. I mean, first off, it cost a fortune to even try. The wheels and hitches? They were probably taken off decades ago. Plus, people build their lives there. They add porches, decks, extra rooms. And maybe the biggest problem? Even if you could overcome all that, there's pretty much nowhere else to put the home. The lots just aren't available. So this all leads to a really strange situation, a kind of ownership paradox. Think about it. You own the house itself, your biggest asset, your nest egg, but you're just renting the dirt it sits on. It's the ultimate trap. You have this valuable thing you can't move, stuck on land that someone else controls completely. And these homes have quite a history. They started out way back in the 40s as temporary trailers, maybe for veterans or workers. But by the 50s, they started becoming a permanent housing solution. Fast forward to today, and we're talking about a critical source of homeownership for more than 20 million Americans. That is huge. So you have this perfect storm, right? A vulnerable population in homes they can't move. And that exact vulnerability, well, it started to look like a golden opportunity for a whole new kind of landlord. And the change is just stark. It used to be that these parks were run by mom and pop owners. They might live on site, they knew the residents by name, and rents were pretty stable. But now, we're talking about huge, faceless, private equity firms. They're not there to build a community. Their one and only goal is to squeeze as much profit as possible for their shareholders. And this is part of a much bigger trend, something called the financialization of housing. It's a fancy term, but the idea is simple. It's when we stop thinking of housing as, a basic social good, a roof over your head, and start treating it just like a stock or a bond. It becomes just another number on a spreadsheet, an asset to be exploited for profit. And look how quickly this is happening. Just a few years ago, from 2017 to 2019, big investors bought up 13% of these parks, okay? But then, in just the next 2 years, that number almost doubled to 23%. This buy-up is accelerating like crazy. And the scale here is just wild. You have a mere 23 private equity firms that now own over 1,800 of these parks. Think about that for a second. Thousands of individual communities, each with its own character, are now controlled by a tiny handful of massive corporations. Okay, so what does this all mean for the actual residents, for the people who call these places home? Well, this is where it gets really tough. This is the squeeze. 45%. That's how much the lot rents, the fee just to keep your home on that patch of land, have gone up in the last decade. Imagine you're a senior on a fixed income, and your biggest housing cost suddenly jumps by almost half. It's just unsustainable. And when rents shoot up like that, what happens next? Evictions. A study in Florida found that as soon as an investment firm bought a park, eviction filings shot up by 40%. It's not a slow burn. The pressure is immediate and it is intense. And sometimes the legal system makes things even worse. It can create this impossible trap. Take Virginia, for example. Step 1, the rent goes up, you can't pay, you get evicted. But remember, you still own the house. Step 2, you've got just 90 days to somehow sell it or move it. And get this, while you're scrambling to do that, you have to keep paying rent on the lot you were just evicted from. If you can't pull off that miracle, the park owner can just take your home. You lose everything. But it's not all bad news. This isn't just a story about people losing their homes. Faced with this incredible pressure, residents are getting organized. They're fighting back with some really smart and powerful strategies. So what does fighting back look like? Well, there's a whole toolkit of solutions emerging. Things like giving residents the right of first refusal. Basically, they get the first shot to buy the park themselves. Or they're forming cooperatives, where everyone bands together to buy and run the community as a team. And then you've got policies like rent control and laws that require more notice before a sale. And this stuff is actually working. It's not just theoretical. In Maine, that right of first refusal law is giving residents real power. In New York, they've capped how much rent can be hiked, which brings much-needed stability. And across 22 states, just having a law that says you have to tell us you're selling gives people precious time to organize a response. So, in the end, this whole situation boils down to one really big question for all of us. What is housing? Is it an essential human right, something we should protect? Or is it just another commodity, like gold or oil, to be traded for the highest possible profit? How we answer that question is going to decide the future for millions of American homeowners.